Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to this week's episode of Hollow Weekly. How low can we go? 44%. If you don't know who it is, it's me, Grocery Boy.
Ding dong, you're dead.
Ding dong, you're dead. House, 1985 or 6, depending on which year you prefer, because it's a coin toss.
My mind doesn't accept this movie in the same year as Friday Night. I'm calling it 86.
We'll call it 86. And if you're listening to this on Facebook, which I know a lot of you are because I look at the data, and again, Texas is still holding strong. Howdy, y'all have the best queso.
Nice job,
and because
Texas.
of that, y'all should comment what year you think this movie came out. And because you guys settle it. The group...
They'll know. Someone will know.
Sure. The group recommended this one. We threw it back. We threw it back to the group. Yeah. We didn't for a couple of them, man. It was rocky. It was rocky.
Yeah, we screwed up.
We go back to the group. We have you guys vote on it, and again, you pull through with another classic masterpiece.
Like neither of us had seen this. We all obviously knew it existed, but I just be upfront. I like anyone who's listened to the podcast for any time knows I'm not a huge horror comedy fan. I appreciate them when I think they're great, but like it's not a genre I'll seek, right? So I just don't. Some of these miss my radar, and I am so surprised by what this actually turned out to be. I cannot wait to talk about this.
So,
and you hadn't seen it either.
No, I only knew about the poster, which I think is really awesome, of just like the severed hand ringing the doorbell.
Incredible.
I also watched, I forget what YouTuber it was. It was maybe Joe Blow. I think they have a horror section on it. I think they did a dive into House, or maybe it was House 2. But I didn't remember. I didn't retain any information, so I got to. It was great. I got to go back into this.
Amnesia worked
completely fresh. So for those of you who don't know anything about House, which a lot of you probably do, so we're the ones late to the fashionably late to the party. It's about a Vietnam vet turned horror novelist returns to his boyhood home to find that it has been invaded by ghosts and ghouls. Directed by Steve Miner, who's directed a handful of other movies.
Yeah, these are interesting credits.
Friday the 13th, Part 2 and 3. Lake Placid, Halloween H2O, Warlock, one movie we're not going to talk about, and story by Fred Dekker.
Yes.
If everyone knows who Fred Dekker is, Monster Squad. He also did, I think he did a couple of my favorite Tales from the Crypt episodes. I think he did All Throughout the House, the Santa Claus. Yeah. Santa Claus one.
Which we watch party.
Yes, I think that was...
Back in those days.
I think that was him. It was either him or the guy who did Forrest Gump. I know that guy did a handful of them. I always get their episodes of Tales from the Crypt mixed up. Music by, and if you're a horror fan, you've heard this music before. You've heard this name before, Harry Manfredini. Ugh. And if you live in LA, every other weekend, I think he's signing CDs at Dark Delicacies. I think.
Go see him.
Yeah. And his music's great. In fact, when we went to Secret Movie Club at the Vista to see, no, it was at the where did we see Jason Lives?
That was at the Newark, I think.
Yeah, they were playing the Harry Manfredini music, and I remember the atmosphere there. Like
incredible.
It just made such an impression on me.
The music was so good, it almost killed Jason himself. Remember when the guy fell off the stage?
That was my favorite thing.
That was
He's an unstoppable killing machine, unless his vision's obscured by a mask. Then he's completely fucked.
Yes.
Okay, so order of discussion, order of the court, order of the court.
Yes.
This one, the order in the court for this episode's a little different. Like usually we have a couple things, we really like, this actor or this, this visual. But I want to kick it off with what I'm calling the Carnival of Souls effect. Now, this is something that you actually invented all those years ago when you turned on the TV late at night and discovered the free movie that is it's no copyright. You can just watch this movie anywhere. Right. Carnival of Souls. Yep. So you woke up, you put it on, and you had this kind of like mystical viewing experiation, right?
Yes, totally. It's the classy version of the Adult Swim effect, where it's 3 a.m. and you all of a sudden wake up because you fell asleep 5 minutes earlier and you're totally disoriented, and they're showing you something completely weird on TV. Yeah, this was like a magical. It's disoriented, but it's also like really unsettling, right? And not a lot of horror can get down there and really unsettle you, like Hereditary can,
right,
and some things, and that's the experience. But you had that with this, was just so
So like the way the Carnival of Souls effects kind of worked to me is, so like we were watching this, and like Alex and Jenny were in the other room. They ordered some Chinese food, like they were talking, and we were just kind of just like watching it and laid back. And I realized like halfway through the movie that I felt like I was, and this might sound so weird, but I felt like I was watching the movie as like a teenager on like a Saturday morning.
Amazing.
And I don't know why. Like,
right?
I'm 30 years old,
right?
Not, it's not Saturday. We watched it on a Wednesday, Wednesday night. But the movie played like something I would have watched if I had, if I stayed the night at like a friend's house. So, we were up all night gaming, and the next, morning we wake up and we just turn on the TV and this movie was on.
Incredible.
It felt like that. And I don't know why.
Right.
There's something weird about this movie, but a great way, in a good weird.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Totally.
Where it's
like you're describing like horror Narnia. And,
yes,
and you were like in horror Narnia for a minute for some reason. You don't know why you were there.
I think it might have had to do with like how this movie keeps unraveling itself. Like, it's weird to say that. Like, the only way I could describe it is it's just like, it feels almost kind of like a video game almost, where like you're exploring. Like, I'm playing Elden Ring right now, and like you go and you discover a bunch of stuff and you fight stuff, and the pacing of like finding a new cave, finding a new monster kind of felt like this in the movie. Like, every time midnight hit, something came out of the closet.
Yeah.
Midnight hits, the kid's getting dragged away by these two little ghouls. Midnight hits, his quote wife is this big fat witch who's coming after him. And then the midnight hits. Gardening equipment is trying to hunt him down. Like,
that was incredible.
There was just something. The way the movie just unraveled for me just felt so weird, but like interesting that I haven't had that kind of experience in a while. And
totally,
I don't know, man. I'm just so glad they voted for this movie because it was an experience, man.
You know what's weird is you and I had the same experience. That's so weird because I didn't know that you were feeling that way when we were watching it. Because what I was thinking when I was watching it was, do you remember I was telling you about Project December? It was that kind of the thing where they invented an AI where you feed it some sample texts of things, and then it can imitate the thing, right?
Right.
So if you gave it 3, John Carpenter interviews in Rolling Stone, it could do John Carpenter interviewing Rolling Stone.
That's easy. It's just lights cigarette, takes long drag, cashes check. Like, that's John Carpenter. That's an easy one.
I'm right. I'm not. You might be an AI. I'm not convinced you're not. So So like that's the idea, was they were doing this, right? So I was thinking about if you took what I think everyone who was making horror movies was trying to accomplish, which was to begin a franchise in the 80s, right? If you took Nightmare 4 and like Leprechaun 2 and something really good, like let's say whatever, The Ring, and you put it all into this machine that could imitate it, what would you get? It was the franchise stuff, right? And then I was looking at House and how unique it is. Like, I know it turned into a franchise, but like this thing is so unique. And if you took this and other like weird movies from the time, it's way better experience. So I think they were trying to be franchises back then, but as time goes by, it's going to be the Houses that win and the Friday 3s that lose.
Right.
Right? Like, then you wanted to be the person who made Friday 3. But I have a feeling like 10 years from now, you're going to want to be the person who made the Houses of horror. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
It's just the uniqueness of it. And you were feeling like it was making you time travel.
There was just,
and it's because it's so unique. This movie's not built. There's gaps to where it's built, and it messes with you, and you're disoriented, and all of a sudden you're like 15.
But it's disorienting, but like it's also really pleasant to watch,
right?
Because this is a pretty bright movie. Like, it's not it's not like the lights go out and they hold up one candle and they're going around the corner to see some monster in their face.
Yep.
Like, this is he even has a wall of lights and cameras to shine on the closet.
Yeah, no, he has a Home Improvement Wilson relationship with Norm or George Wendt, right? Like, and they're just standing in broad daylight for so much time. This movie is very sunlit. It's weird.
No, I love the way this movie looks. I love the way this movie feels. And I don't know, man. Like, part of me wishes, and I kind of want to make this a goal and I feel like I say this for every episode we do for How Low Can We Go, but like I would really love to find movies that are on our radar on the way down that we can experience at a screening, because now that the movie theaters are opening back up, like
that's right,
like you know, like there's a couple.
How much different would that be?
Yeah, like there's a couple movie marathons that are, you know, on the horizon that we're kind of looking at, but then there's also like, you know, I was just like in Los Feliz, like that movie theater opened up and like they had a big line outside and I was like, what the hell are they showing? I think it could have been like some kind of like 80s. Most of the time I think it's like some kind of 80s thing, because I think the Cinematic Void dudes run out of there now that the Egyptian got sold.
Yep.
But I for some reason I was just watching House thinking like, man, like I love this, like I'm loving this movie.
I'm 100% certain you're right, because we've run this experiment already, because my experience of Life Force would be way different if I had just seen Life Force on your computer or whatever than the way I saw it.
But what's funny, so when I was watching it, like I was thinking like, if I was in the theater, I knew when the moments the theater would cheer. I knew in the moments when the theater would laugh. So a lot of the times, like when the cops come over, I know that time would have gotten a real rowdy experience. The first attack would have been great. Anytime
the whole audience would have shouted Norm as soon as George Wendt showed up. Like everyone would have done it, right?
Yeah. God, there was the one scene when the neighbor's like, "Do you want to play?" And everyone thinks they're gonna go like have sex, but then she like brings over her little boy to like watch. Like that would have been a great scene.
That pan down is so evil.
Yeah, anything with him would have been great. Like there's just a lot of like applause kind of moments that you could see just like translating. And I also think part of the whole Carnival of Souls thing is like Carnival of Souls feels timeless.
Totally.
This movie has a timeless quality to it. There are like some fashion, like his actually the fashion in this movie is kind of great. Like I love the guy's sweater, but then it cuts to this really deep brown V sweater, and you know he's just bare chested.
Yeah, very strange.
So like that stuff looks kind of dated, but overall like the feeling and the atmosphere and the vibe and the energy and the way the movie unravels and the story itself and the creature designs, like they don't feel that dated. They just feel really fun, and there's something that like encapsulates that energy when you have that much fun. You know, Life Force felt a little dated in some scenes. There was some, you know, but still a great movie. But this one just,
it was the theater experience. That's what I'm saying. Is imagine having that experience, but with this movie instead of Life Force. Like how big that would be for you.
That would be
first time to experience. So we should definitely just screen for some of the rest of the How Low Can We Go, because the quality is going to dip. So we got to bring the experience up, possibly.
You know what? We should reach out to Cinematic Void. I bet like. Hey,
who's going to screen it? 0%?
That's what I'm saying. I got to ask him. Like, hey, you cats run this operation. Here's the deal. We need to know if you have Dracula 2 on 35 millimeters.
Who's the Ascension?
Who's got that? Who's got that? Anyone?
Can you screen? Does anyone have the Disappointment Room or whatever?
So that's order of the court.
Yes.
That's the first order of discussion. The second order of discussion is what everything is an effect. Everything is the blank effect.
Yeah, that's weird.
Kind of
butterfly effect and stuff.
Because this movie had a great effect on me. Whoa, Matthew Lillard effect.
Yes.
So the leading hunk in this movie, what's his name?
William Catt.
You
of Greatest American Hero and Carrie fame.
Carrie is where I recognize him. Carrie's date with the beautiful curly hair. But he came on screen. I was like, that guy has a face. I've seen that face somewhere. And then when you said Carrie, I was like, I trust this guy with my life. I know this guy's gonna be great.
Yeah, he's good for me. I won't get hit by the bucket for sure.
Describe the Matthew Lillard effect, because we've actually had a couple discussions about Matthew Lillard himself. We were actually toying about doing an episode dedicated to Matthew Lillard
100%.
a couple weeks ago.
100%. Like that was because first of all, it's an expectations game going into it. This is not what I expected. I expected something closer in vibe to Chud. Right. And what I got, this was epic. I mean, there was an epic from below shot of the house when he's hanging by his fingers that looked like it belonged in Hellraiser 2, but more beautiful.
And you see the body fall all the way and hit the rocks.
I couldn't believe it did it. I mean, some of the visuals.
I thought they cut away.
Right. And I did not expect to be blown away by House 85/86.
86, 85.
Right. So that, first of all, I knew I would have fun, and I was hoping that it would become a great experience, but I didn't expect it to just be mind-blowing in parts, right? Because it's just House. What's going on here? So I was wrong, and that's amazing. So that was an amazing effect. But then to have that part of that be that a lot of this plot is weirdly dark, way unnecessarily dark to one side, and then way strangely goofy to the other. And to be the kind of actor that can straddle that, there are not many that can do this, right? There are not. Peter Cushing could do it, right? Matthew Lillard could do it, but I really was getting like, this is the Matthew Lillard of his time. Like, William Catt is nailing this performance. He is not phoning it in. I was looking up his background and instantly was blown away, if this is true, that he was a close runner-up for Luke Skywalker.
That's insane.
Right? Which is incredible.
That's insane.
The fact that right? It's just amazing. But he really does this amazing job. And then he's called upon to make the most insane transitions, like transitions a Tarantino character would make in Kill Bill 2 from like babysitting to trying to slaughter creatures from the next dimension to inappropriately hitting on someone to like, I don't know what's going on with this. It's insane. This, what they asked him to do, and that he sold it. Only someone who just like is a, I don't like so authentic could do it, right? Mm-hmm. And he did it. So I think that's amazing for one.
No, I thought his acting was great. Like I trust. It's so weird. Like I'm like now reflecting on it, but like I trust him. Like if I'm in a house with him and he's got a bunch of cameras and a shovel and a harpoon gun that's not in Harold's hands. I feel pretty comfortable.
Well, he makes so many terrible decisions, so we shouldn't trust him, but we do. Like, I mean, that's one of them. He's attacked by a not subtle creature, and his response isn't to like relocate to the next city or call in the National Guard or whatever a rational response would be. His response is to go into his Home Depot of his time or Radio Shack or wherever he got and get like a ton of camera equipment, take on the creature by himself with not telling anyone that the Sarlacc lives in his closet.
I actually think his first thing he did was went to bed because like it's midnight. It's midnight. He opens up the closet, and then it cuts to the next day, and he's walking out the front door. And I remember kind of thinking, like, if I got attacked by a creature, like an 8-foot creature with 12-inch claws, it'd be really hard to go to sleep. Like I would be really
right. He seems more disturbed by George Wendt than by the creature.
He just keeps annoying him. He's like, "Hey, can I come have coffee? Can you sign this? Can you sign this for me?"
I love George Wendt as another person that can only do what he does, and he does it here. There's this moment where he just goes by, and he's just talking to his dog, and he's just like, if something insane is happening, and he's like, "Looks like it's fun to be a writer, huh?" to his dog, and just walks away. And it's the most beautiful moment in cinema.
I love when he first meets him, and he's like, "Hey, are you that writer?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "Can you sign my book?" And he just pulls out like the pages of the book from his back pocket. Like it's not like some people carry paperbacks in their back pocket and they're a little beat up, but this was just legit like 36 pages of his book
out of order.
Yeah, out of order, and he like drops them, and he's like, "Oh,
And he just happens to have. I mean, that's why you felt 15 when you were watching this, because there were some things the movie was doing where an adult brain can't process the transitions that are happening. You have to be 15 to understand.
And there's a lot of well, that's the second order discussion is him. Okay. Before I get to the third one, though,
yes,
the way the movie's shot, there's a lot of really interesting shots, and there's some pretty shots. Like there was a shot where like they do like a little dolly move with like the fence in the front and the house in the back, and it's like a really, really gorgeous shot.
Yeah, I remember that we both were like, wow, at the same time.
Yeah, that was really great. The Vietnam stuff was kind of was a little hit or miss.
Hey, Richard Ball, that I was all in to see Bull go full like Oliver Stone Platoon 3.
He was great. You kind of compared him to Gronkowski a little bit, like with
it was like what it would be like serving with Gronk in your unit would be. But so first of all, he actually sells scary because he's going to become, I forget the name now, what the soldier. What's the Big Ben? So, I think that's what
one of the monsters had a working bowel system, it said on.
Okay, well, that's horrifying. But check this out. So, like, this guy, he was on Night Court, right? And there's this amazing detail about this is what made him famous, was Night Court. So they cast him. This is why he's famous. They cast him on Night Court because they needed a guy who would loom over everybody else. everyone at Night Court is like 6'5". And just randomly, everyone they cast, John Larroquette, Harry Anderson, everyone's fucking giant. So they were like, they had to get someone really tall. So he got the job and became like famous because they've just.
Wow.
I mean, how amazing!
That's awesome. He does have a huge presence in this movie. Like he does feel like a big dude. But then there's some shots like, particularly in the beginning, during his book signing, it's a lot of people looking into the lens. And there was one guy, he signs his book and he just walks away and he goes, I'm going to cherish this for a long time. Like I thought that shit was kind of funny.
I thought that was kind of a good microcosm of the whole movie because, like when Rob Zombie does this with Malcolm McDowell's character, it's so preachy. Every character that he meets at that book signing, Malcolm McDowell's character meets at the book signing, is supposed to emotionally make you feel some way about like what's happening. Like,
right.
Malcolm McDowell sucks, right? This one just let it play out. I feel like they might have just had random people walk up and improvise.
Yeah, it felt...
what they were saying because it was really chill. Like someone came up and it was just like, thanks, and just walked away. Like there was screen time devoted to politeness.
There was a lot of.
It was very just like organic,
interesting characters.
But it was the organic feel of it is something you would never get in a movie that you see in 2022.
No,
right?
but then the second shot, immediately after his book signing, they do this like really long take of him and his agent walking down the street on the opposite. They're like on the opposite sides of the street, and it felt kind of like a Brian De Palma kind of thing. Like they really hung with them, and
that's a long sequence.
They're just talking about their books and what he's going to do for the next one, and how he's going to go to this house. And meanwhile, you just have 2 lanes of traffic constantly going in front of the camera.
I want to know why they made that decision. There's got to be a way to find out why that shot was made that way. It was so unorthodox and cool.
Yeah, I really dug it. But there's a lot of really good. Visuals in this movie, and a lot of the times when you think about these like kind of when I think of movies of what I thought House was like, I usually don't think of great cinematography. I usually think of like, oh, they usually have a cool monster design, or maybe there's like a cool score.
It's gonna feel like cheap Ray Harryhausen.
yeah. But like this one, like there was a lot of like really, really nice, super well done artistic touches throughout the whole thing.
Totally was. And even the way they were framing characters when they were interacting with each other or whatever, it usually in these kind of movies they don't bother to make it. Some of it looked really crisp. Some of it wasn't like Dutch angled or anything, but it was just it felt like you were just there with them. I don't know how it was pulling it off because it's such a weird movie.
Well, no, this has nothing to do with it, but Alex was rewatching Bridgerton season 2, and at the end when she realizes that the Viscount doesn't want to marry the lady.
Spoilers.
Yeah,
Right.
spoilers. It's like a kind of subtle Dutch angle, and I was like, I haven't seen a Dutch angle used that great in a long time. I was like, you go, Bridgerton.
Oh my God, you noticed it. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
When it's good enough, you notice it.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, because that's the moment she realizes that her world's upside down. I'm like, good for them. Like that's great. These people really know what they're doing.
So it matches what they're.
Yeah, not to go on the Bridgerton.
No, you're
train,
but when what the camera's doing is putting you into the emotional shoes of the character, that's great. So, but that's what I'm saying is you don't get a lot of that in some of the movies that are in the tiers that we're living in right now. So that again, amazing.
So that was the cinematography aspect. Yes. Now the last order of discussion we have on here is I put it as George's mystery bomb.
Oh, well, no. So the thing is,
I don't know if bomb's the right word, but it is.
I mean, I guess that's the thing that I really felt like was, to me, watching it this time was the most special sort of experience of it was, well, first of all, I don't know. Part of it, a big part of what I'm thinking about is the monsters, which I don't know that we've given enough. I mean, the fact that we're this far in the House episode and haven't talked about the fish is not right. Can we talk about? Can we just talk about fish? Because the monster design is a big part of what I think is like. But what I think is going to be ultimately really special about this is that the movies like this become more memorable over time, and that I think this movie is migrating and it's on a journey that's going to get really more interesting for it. And I can't wait to see what happens as the anniversaries of this movie comes up and people like re-experience the movie, because this one is special. It's weird, right? But I have good news for you too as well. A surprise you probably already know because you may or may not remember from your YouTube thing you watched. There are so many people on our page telling us that House 2 is better.
Nuh-uh.
So many.
Oh, that makes me so excited.
There are so many comments right now under this thing telling us that House 2 is better than this one.
No
right?
way.
So
cool.
So right, we have like, I don't know where it's rated. I haven't even looked it up yet. It might be in our radar. We could probably check in real time and see if this
Here,
is
you
like
talk. I'm gonna look this up.
But I wanted to tell you fresh because it was like a surprise experience. But
okay, well, House 2 is 7%, so it is.
Oh my god,
we are good. It's 7%.
If we make it.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay, what?
31%
Metacritic. Okay,
so it's not too far.
It's in the single digits. Holy crap!
Yeah,
and so many people.
Music by.
Oh yes.
Harry Manfredini.
Okay. Go figure.
This one was directed
so I can't wait to see. Who's it directed
by? Ethan Wiley. He did.
Oh God! Wait.
He did the soundtrack for Jason X. Is that right?
Well, whatever. I'm telling you, I don't want to spoil it, so I don't even research anymore. I just want to go to it fresh. But like, I'm excited because usually franchises plane downward.
Yeah.
Right. So the fact that we needed something good to watch later in the tier, and the group picked for us a movie that not only was great, but is feeding us a surefire pick later. Because I cannot wait to watch
After seeing
House
the
2.
image, the video I watched on YouTube was definitely for House 2. And I don't remember anything about it. Because I remember the monster, and it kind of looked on first glance, reminded me of Bubba Hotep. Just because it had a hat and...
I've never seen that in my life. I mean, I've not in detail.
The tagline, it gets weirder.
Dude, I'm so ready for this. So that I am excited that will be on our radar was the surprise. And I honestly, all we can do to me, all I can tell you is the performances are way better. The flaws are way weirder than I thought. What else is here for this? What do we need to cover for this?
I would just watch
mini
it.
masterpiece.
I just watch it again. Like I will actively try to find like a film screening of it here in LA to get that experience because I know it will still hold up. I will still have a great time. It will be time well invested, money well invested. No, I really like this one. Now, you asked me last night after we watched it, do I like this more or Chud more?
Right.
I still think I like Chud more, but I'm really
interesting.
I love the two actors, the one guy from Home Alone who just died, and then the robber.
You're right.
I because I
the Chud experience was really fun.
Yeah,
the experience we had watching it was a blast.
Yeah, that was a good one. I still like Chud a little more, but this one really.
That's interesting because I really like this more.
I could see. I totally.
But you can guess that for me.
But I don't think that's the wrong answer. I totally see why.
Because this has way more of like whatever that mystical phantasm DNA is.
Yes.
The thing that you sprinkle on a movie, and even though you can see cracks and flaws, it's fine.
Right.
and it's doing something unique that something else can't do.
That was the other thing. Is like with the movie, like because it was so kind of like a fun, chaotic kind of feeling. I never questioned anything. Like
right.
I never questioned like the logic of this or anything like that, or like how come the kid didn't freak out when the monsters dragged him up? He didn't tell his mom. How did the mom not know anything?
No,
like,
you can't start the question. Man.
Yeah,
Don't
like
go
I
down
did,
that road.
but I never.
But you never did, right?
Yeah, some movies you're like, well, that's weird. Why would they do that? With House, no. I was just like, whatever you throw at me, I'm here for.
Because the thing is, it's not quite that bad because that's not a pass you quite want to write for movies, but it is.
But not all movies get that,
right? No, they don't. This is special, right? But that's what I'm saying is like it got you to the point. This amazing point where George Wendt is cowering before a closet door, and you're the visual is just a rope attached to a knob on a closet door, and they're hiding behind cameras with guns and like trying to do some kind of like thing the Boy Scouts would think was lame, like, to try to trap a creature, and nothing else can give you the choices don't make sense how you get there. But George Wendt's face and how he flees and what his character does after that, are so amazing. You can't trade it for anything.
No.
Even if you could bring David Fincher in and have him film that sequence, it would be immeasurably better than what's on there, but it would be worse for the movie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, the movie did everything right in the books.
Such a good experience.
So,
So,
where do we rate it? So it was 44% on Metacritic, and I think Rotten
Right.
Tomatoes, I think it was like higher. I think it was like 55 or something like that.
yeah, it was 57, I think. Yeah.
Where do you rate House? 1985 or 6?
House. There is no way. This feels like a strong 82.
82?
82%. Just because, I mean, it's unreal how, like, so many good things in different categories of things that movies can do actually happen here that I didn't expect. 82.
78, and I don't know what the fuck that means. But that just feels right. I don't know how to describe it. Like if someone put a gun on my head and says, "What does 78 mean?"
I'm with you, dude.
I don't know, but that's just what it feels.
No, I think it's right. I think when you average it, it's 80.
Yeah, I think. To me, it was like high 70s.
Right.
Like that's just don't know why.
It made the 8 tier.
That's just how I
felt. And it
felt.
deserves to be in the 8 tier. Yeah. There are things that are. A couple things that don't date that well, and et cetera, and right, but just the experience of a viewer in this time, like in this moment, the way it played out, chef's kiss.
I love it. So, if you love House, 1980, whatever freaking
Ding
year.
dong, we don't know.
Ding dong, whatever movie this year came out. Let us know in an iTunes review. We would really appreciate it. We had the one riddle that we solved.
That's right.
I don't really have a fun game for them. You know what?
I have a fun game. Oh, you good? No.
Well, I want to know. I like games.
Mine would be, because this is one of the most amazing horror marketing and tagline. I want to know what their favorite horror taglines are.
Oh, I was going to just say, give us a 5-star review and just comment ding dong.
Oh,
That's so easy. That's so easy.
Dude, that's easy.
By the time,
That's-
so I'm going to cut and start playing the end music. And by the time the end music is done, you can have that review up there. Bing bong, ding dong.
Completely correct.
All right. Well, until next time, stay scary. Watch a bunch of horror movies. We'll see you guys at 43%, or we'll probably have another episode up soon. If it's not How Low Can We Go, it's probably something new that we wanted to check out. But
If
for
you
How
want
Low
to keep
Can We
going
Go,
down 43%, give us suggestions at the Facebook page.
find us on there. It's always a good time. See you next time.